This week's channel message from the angels is about how we are becoming open and sovereign. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. It is great to have you here. So thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you who are new, my name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And I do that by going into a deep meditative state or trance. And from there, I raise my awareness up as high as I can go. And then I go a little bit higher and I connect with the angelic realm. And then I bring through messages and healing that I share here with you guys on YouTube. So this week's message is a beautiful one. It's really talking with us about the state of consciousness we are moving into, about what it's going to be like, what we are going to be like. And it helps us to know, to understand what we're going to become, helps us to understand where we are right now. What is the distance that we still have yet to go? Because we all still have distance. There's still stuff we can do to get there faster. And it's available to us now. There's no reason why we can't become this way even now. And the more light that hits the planet, the more support that we have. So the more actively we engage in this work, the better our lives become. So it really helps to understand, what is the goal? What does it look like? What is this new state like? And this message really helps us to understand that. It's about becoming so open but at the same time, so open that we don't shy away from anyone or anything, that we are totally comfortable mixing our energy with anyone and anything in the world because we are 100% sovereign. And the way we get there is by becoming fully balanced, by becoming balanced in our own heart, which is the work that we do in my Soul Convergence program, which, by the way, if you would like to know more about my deep healing program called Soul Convergence, it is the deepest program that I offer. We are going to have a live here on YouTube next Saturday. I'll put the link down in the description box below. So you guys, if you can join, it's a lot easier just to click the link or you can just come to the channel. And I'll be here next Saturday, not this one, Saturday. It'll be Saturday the 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific. So you can join us and find out if you'd like to have questions about Soul Convergence, if you've been thinking about joining, if you haven't heard about it yet, come and join us and find out more about it. I'll be doing answering questions about it and having a good discussion. So that'll be Saturday the 25th at 10 a.m. For Soul Convergence. But it's going to be talking specifically about the way that we can balance our masculine and feminine energy so that we can connect and bring in the fullness of our higher self. As we do that, we activate our sixth sense. Our sixth sense is what allows us to see other people as they fully are. So this is all connected. It's all the same conversation being held from all these different angles so that we can really try to bring it into ourselves, really try to understand it. That when we are full of our own light, it's perfectly safe for us to intermingle with others because we no longer have wounding for anything to attach to, right? We're full of love. We've lost our karma. And so we can shine the full perception of our love on anyone. And the angels say that is what love is. We can shine our light. Our love can be truly free. So it's a gorgeous message. I think you guys are going to love it. So one other reminder before we get started with the message is that if you are in my peace bathing program, it is this Sunday, our peace bathing session, our monthly healing program to keep pace with the energies of the shift is this Sunday, 10 a.m. So don't forget to join us if you are a member of peace bathing. If you are not yet a member and would like to become, if you don't yet have your own regular healing practice and would like to join us, it's not too late. I will put the link for peace bathing in the description box down below as well. All right, you guys, enjoy the message and have a great weekend. We would instill in your heart now the beckoning forces of what is to come. We wish to draw to your heart a new day, an interesting time where separation knows no part of yourself, where you feel yourself as one with everyone and all things around you now, to draw you into the protection of only what you are and nothing else. The protective force of will and willpower erodes your soul. Your soul reflects the light from above. And this is all you require. The soul is light. And light, in coherence or otherwise, has its own frequency, resolve, temperature, and way of rhythm. And you are this and cannot be made otherwise. You can intermix and be resolved. You can portray your light, however it shines. To stay within the arms of your own heaven-sent illumination, to be the light, and this is all, to be yourself, and know yourself impregnable and yet transferable, as though you communicate what you are through unfiltered, unfettered, loving expression, as though the light of what you are can intermingle freely without restraint. Loving expression comes from this, from the sense of what you are as portrayed evenly, fearlessly. We say the expression of love is an artful expression. We say that your heart can become bigger, more pronounced, more expressive, more condoning of life and living, more enveloping of all that you are seeing, more expanded than is your current nature. You can hold more light, more endowment of grace by becoming more fully expressed as a loving being, opening your heart more full to be loved, to feel love, to hold no barriers between yourself and all that is and everyone. To be one with all things, one must reveal themselves, the soft underbelly of your reflections. You cannot hold yourself apart from anyone or anything and be love. Love knows no boundaries, no boundless. It permeates all things. It must enter without reserve, enter freely. Know yourself impregnable in the sense of your light. Your light shines irregardless of where it lands upon everyone and everything. And perception is a window through which you engage with the world. In perception, you feel the earth and its willingness to love your heart. You feel the earth moving. In perception, you perceive another, all beings, as they are, willingly offering their resolve to be. You are a light that must perceive freely, that can know no boundaries, that must perceive through what you are. And what you are can become more fully pronounced, an expression of illumination that has no filter, that can be love without boundaries. This then sees what is expressed, the expression of all other beings, with clarity. The clarity comes through the pronouncement of your own light. Your own expression must be made more full without comprehension of your own foibles. Off-center, perception is limited. Fully centered, perception is equalized, is made whole, is made clearer, is made illuminated, and you are this becoming. You must find the ways in which you filter your own perception and draw out from these core elements of your own wounding how you may equally perceive the hearts of all beings. You can do this as you are working toward your own shifting. You may see yourself with more ease, more grace, more perception. The unbound treasures of your own heart are worth meeting. And within the art of this expression, as it becomes fully expressed, your heart needs no restraint. It can love equally all beings. And through your heart, you perceive, not through the senses of your own distinguishing abilities. Separation is the force that knowledge provides. It separates things from one another. The heart conjoins things together. The heart blends and merges all that is provided. The heart finds unity. The head finds separation. The heart unifies into love. All that is expressed, all that is oneness. The heart perceives another being equally expressed. Your perception becomes unyielding. It perceives all things. It opens itself to love, to loving. Loving prospect perceives everything. Loving another perceives everything. Perception is love. Loving awareness of another's embodiment allows you to perceive them more gently, with greater understanding than all that could be provided by knowledge. You must open your heart more full, more complete, to have this understanding. Opening your heart is a capacity you have. All right. So, beautiful, beautiful message, and really challenging. I think challenging us. Challenging us to be like, okay, all right, I get it. It's telling us, and so many, I think, bombs here in terms of shaking up the way we've been taught to be. You know, and it's so simple and beautiful as a message, but it really rattles us down to the level of our culture, of what we have learned, of all of our safety measures. Like the big takeaways for me in this, like the first one is this, well, the first one is this idea of perceiving other people and judgment. And how are we in judgment of other people? And it is that idea of like, and this is funny because I channeled this message. I channeled this message right after I had gone grocery shopping. And I went to a grocery store I don't particularly like because it's not very pretty. It's not a pretty grocery store. And I like pretty. I just do. And this particular grocery store is not. It's not a pretty store. And it always feels a little run down, and it's just not a pleasant experience to be there. And I walked away feeling a little judgy, to be honest. Like I was feeling like, I don't like this part of town. I don't like being here. It's not pretty. It's, you know what I mean? I just had that bleh. And I walked away recognizing, like, wait a minute, I'm being really judgy. Like like God is in everything. Love is in everything. Like, what is this in me? Like, what is this? Why am I having this experience right now of experiencing myself? And they immediately gave me an image of me walking, like imagine like I was in the Wild West with like big long skirts, and they show me pulling up my petticoats and like tiptoeing through the mud. Like, ew. It was like, okay, I get it. I get it. I get that. Yeah, I do. I have that in me. I do. I have that. I don't like icky. I don't like dirty, And so I could see that in me, and I could see me pushing that apart from me, saying, I don't want that. Yucky. I don't want that in my space. It's yucky. And then think about that leads me to the thought of like, what if someone has an entity? What if somebody is going through some really tough stuff, and you look at that tough stuff and you're like, I hope that tough stuff is not contagious. Like that person's been struggling and like, I don't want that on me. Like, has it ever happened? Have you ever thought about that? And there we are going, I don't want it. Don't bring it to me. I don't want that. And this message came through right after that experience. And the message is telling me and all of us that when we have our heart balanced, when our heart is in complete, that state of perfect balance that we're trying to achieve, that state of love, when we're full of love, that we can be completely with anyone. And it won't, basically it's like it doesn't stick to you. Like if you don't have that in you, then it doesn't become you. So I could be anywhere and be in love. And it brought to me right away this visual. And I thought of thinking of like Yeshua as a model. And thinking about the stories of Yeshua and lepers, and thinking about how he helped lepers. And I thought to myself, and I think in the past, I always thought that when Yeshua would come up to a leper, he would see through the leprosy, right, to the beautiful soul within. And I'm like, I can see past the things I don't like and get to the things I do. I can totally do that. And they're like, no, he loves the leprosy. And I was like, oh, darn it. Darn, I have to love the leprosy. Oh, man, that's hard. It's hard. But that's what we have to do. That was the message. It was, I am not loving the leprosy. And I need to learn how to do that. And the way to do it is to understand that when you are the light, the only reason we don't love the leprosy is because we're afraid of it. It's because we're afraid that if we get close to it, we will catch it and it'll become part of us. And then we will hold that frequency. And what they're saying in this message is they're saying that we can't because it's, if we are full of our own light, then there's that other frequency is not a match to us anymore. Stuff can only come into you that you already have. So, and that is the truth. If you are a healer and you heal another person and you pick something up from that person, it's because you had that already, right? It was already in there. And it's just a match, a frequency match. It's going, ooh, I know, I speak your language. Okay, we're together, right? That's what happens. But if you're healed, if you're like Yeshua, fully healed, he could go up to anybody and anything and love everybody because he could love it, bring it into his heart, and know that he was whole and severed, and he could love it because it's humanity, because it's part of the spectrum of what we are, and no fear. He didn't fear it. That's the difference, right? When we have fear, we push it away. We're like, I don't love that. I don't want it. I don't want to see it. I fear that going into that grocery store because I'm like, I don't want to have to shop here. I want to go to the pretty grocery store. And it's like, no, I can go in there and I can shop and it won't stay. I don't become that. That doesn't become my life. I can create my life. I can go into that store and buy what I need and go back to a life I create that is in harmony with who I am and what I like, with the things I find pretty. For someone else, they might go in there and be like, I love this store. It has all the things, maybe it has a beautiful section of some kind of exotic food that I'm not even paying attention to. And they go and they're like, wow, this is heaven, because it has this special thing I love. For me, I go in, I'm like, oh, it's not clean. I don't like it. That's me. So I want my reality to be that, and the other person might want their reality to be full of exotic ingredients. And for them, it's heaven, So anyway, so that was my first big reminder with this message, was that idea of that we are sovereign and we are trying to get sovereign. And this was a big thing that came up in comments not that long ago when I was talking about oneness, and because it came up in peace bathing, that about the concept of boundaries. And boundaries, you guys know boundaries are like a thing, especially if you've gone through, if you're trained as a therapist or gone through therapy, we have to learn boundaries. And man, is that a tough lesson. I had to too. It's tough. It's a really tough thing. And boundaries are incredibly helpful to help us understand where we are in a state of codependence, where we're not honoring ourselves. That's where we start with the concept of boundaries to learn to honor ourselves. But eventually we get to a place where we're honoring ourselves. And then a boundary is what? It's a barrier between you and someone else. And the boundary is helpful until you get to a place where you are so full of your own light that you don't have to be afraid of anybody else. And then the boundary is in the way. The boundary is that distancing between you and someone else. It's pushing them away because you fear them, right? Because you feel like you can't trust yourself to be around them or you'll lose yourself. And you don't feel that way anymore. Once you're full of your own light, you can't lose yourself, right? You're in that state of unity. That's what we're striving for. That is what this shift is all about. That is the shift. It's the shift, trying to get to the space of where our masculine and feminine energy are balanced, we're connected, we're full of our own light, and we can be presence. That's the goal, right? That's the goal. Yeah, so cool. And you're saying, M says, yes, in IFS, one of the laws of inner physics is that nothing in you can hurt you if you're not afraid of it. Yeah, exactly. Totally awesome way of putting it. Gloria says, we're beautiful reminders for us. Thank you, Gloria. Millie says, happy Friday Live. Yay. And this is Rebecca. Oh, wow. Great to hear you, Rebecca. Somehow I'm not in the group anymore. Oh, wow. Okay, thank you. I will check to see what happened. I'm not sure why that happened. Shelly says, hey, okay. Oh, Mother Teresa. Yes, great example. Great example, Shelly. Amy says, so perfect to hear this as I'm driving down Pandora in Victoria, where people who are experiencing addiction and homeless. Oh, wow, Amy. Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad this message is here for you. It's just so amazing how it feels like their message finds us exactly where it needs to find us. I remember going back a long time ago, like 20 years ago, I was living in a place where I found this. A friend of mine took me to their church, and I've never been religious. I've never really gone to church, but she took me to her church, and the speaker was incredible. And I didn't like everything he said. Like, it was a pretty traditional church, and he said some stuff that I found to be not cool, but he was clearly channeling when he spoke, because every time you went, it felt like he somehow knew what was going on in your life that day or that week, and he was speaking to it, and you could take something away from that message that was relevant to you. And I feel like the angels are like that. Like, these messages, they find us wherever we are, and they speak right to us. It's just so cool. Like, we all have such a personal relationship with them. Yeah, I love it. And oh, thank you, Wendy, for fixing that for Rebecca. I appreciate that. Yeah, and Mike says, boundaries lock you out of your whole field. Yes, exactly. Interesting, right? And useful, very useful in our learning process of learning about ourselves and learning how to get out of that codependent state. Extremely helpful. But there is a place where we have to turn around and re-examine it. Yeah. And then Dashini says, do you mean when I am full of my own light, I won't get overrun with these humans who want to exploit things, simply not cross my way? So when you are full of light, then what happens is your experience of others changes dramatically, and you are able to move into any space and feel completely sovereign. And other people could do whatever they want to do, and it doesn't affect you in the same way because you don't hold that vibration. What we resist persists. What we resist, we draw to us. We create more of, we put energy into. The things that we really don't like, the things that we really push away. It's like me and divorce, right? I so didn't want to get divorced, I did it twice. And that's how we work. If we really strongly don't want something, we make it. That's just the nature of energy. We are super powerful creators, and we are so able to create the things we don't want because we don't want them so hard. And so the goal is to get to a place where we are in a space of neutrality with everything in the world, that we are full of love, and we are, and think about that as a polarized state of being between the everything external, which is in the state of like everything, and the state of peace on the inside, where we are in the states of just neutrality towards the outside, and nothing sticks to you because you're just love. You're just full of love. You're embodiment of love. So you're not bouncing off of anything. Every time we bounce off something, it ricochets back to us. Instead, we're just experiencing. We're just in the same space experiencing, and nothing hurts us in the same way. So it's a very, very different way of navigating our world. So when it isn't a thing where you will then say the humans that exploit won't come your way, it's that you might cross their path, but you will no longer see them as humans that exploit. You will see them in a new way. You'll see them through the light of love. You'll see them as humans who maybe are seeking something that they haven't found within themselves. You'll see them for their truth. You'll see them for why they behave they do, right? From a space of loving acceptance. And it doesn't mean you need to let that person into your life, because you still get to have likes and dislikes. You still get to say, yeah, I choose to create my life as a reflection of me. And that energy is not a reflection of me, so I'm not going to include it in my life. And it's no judgment at all. It's just that, yeah, it's not in me, therefore I'm not going to include it in me. Yeah, it's a different way of thinking about it, but it's so peaceful, so peaceful. And you'll see it will be like Teflon, nothing sticks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, totally. So let's break it down and talk through the message. They start out in saying, and this one I feel like they're speaking very clearly in this message, so I'm going to go through it and we can just talk. Any points that stick out, mention it if you get downloads or if you get more insight, mention it in the comments and we'll share it together. And then if there's anything that comes up as we go through, we'll just share it together. So they say, we would instill in your heart now the beckoning forces of what is to come. So they're going to help us to experience through this conversation what is coming, which is the state of unity within ourselves and everything. That's what this message is about, what is to come. It is the shift in consciousness, unity. Yeah. We wish to draw to your heart a new day, an interesting time where separation knows no part of yourself, where you feel yourself as one with everyone and all things around you now. So they're saying this is coming for all of us. Like, this is what we will become. And really what we are working on now is how quickly can we get there? Because the truth is that we can do this now. We can do it today. And that we will have our entire lifetimes to do it. That's been a question some people have asked, has been like, well, will this all happen to all of us instantly when the big flash of light comes? Or when these solar energies hit the planet, will this happen like in an instant? Well, everybody will immediately achieve this. And it's not going to happen that way. There will be, like, think about those people who are very, very resistant, who do not believe in any of this stuff. And they will be, as we talked about, they will be in rejection of it. And everybody has free will. It comes down to free will. So nothing is going to be forced on anybody. But everyone who's alive on the planet will have the remainder of of this lifetime to be able to achieve this. Like, the energies, there'll be so much here to support them. So much to give them the chance. There'll be all of the energies that are hitting the planet, plus all of you. All of you healers and channels and beings who are holding this light, showing how to do this, right? You will be the models, showing this is how we do this. And then the sooner we do it, the better. Because, and it's not an all or nothing. It's incremental. That we will all get better and better and better. And all you have to do is be slightly ahead of someone else in terms of learning this to be a helpful model for them. All you have to do is embody it a little bit more. And then all of a sudden you become a doorway. You become a pathway that can show them how to get there. So it's every little bit we make is success. Every little bit is, and it's not a thing where you can succeed or fail. Like, just the fact that you are talking about this means you win. Like, you win. Like, you've already won, It's just like, how much more can you win? There's more. There's a lot more that we can all win. So there's more goodness to come. And then not only do we win by helping others and by being able to reincarnate on this earth again if we choose to, because we match her new frequency, but then the rest of our life is so much better and richer, right? That's the biggie. That's the thing, is when we can start to move through life without any friction. Like, I can go back to that grocery store and I will find that exotic food section and be like, wow, I totally missed this last time because I was so focused on not liking the store. Yeah. So anyways, and you would say, let's see what you guys are saying. Where is it? Let me go back up here and catch what you were saying. In the world, not of it, yes. And then you're saying, if I don't understand how I used to be, how can I understand them? Oh, I'm not sure I'm following the question, but maybe there is a comment in here where they talk about maybe that's the one you're talking about. So I will get to that. But it's really about being with yourself in the moment. And we don't lose our knowledge. When we heal ourselves, we don't forget who we were. It's literally like, imagine that you have a scene of your life, like a movie scene of your life that was really, really painful, a particular scene. If you can imagine one now that was just like really painful. And imagine that as a movie scene, and now the color in the scene is the emotion from that scene. And then you can literally like unplug the bottom of the scene and all the color just drains out. And that's what healing is. Healing takes the color out of the picture. All the emotion drains out and is transmuted, right? But the scene, it's now black and white, but it still exists. So you can still see it, and you still have all the knowledge you gained and all the self-wisdom you gained from that scene, but it no longer impacts you in the same way because all the emotion has been taken from it. It's all been transmuted from you and turned into something new. That energy has been transmuted. So we don't, when we heal, we don't forget. When we heal, we release the emotions we had in the moment, which were meant to be released at the time, but which we didn't release because fear, all of the conditioning that we have prevents us from just letting our emotions pass through. A lot of us, we all have different methods of holding our feelings. Mine was to leave my body. Like I would literally jump behind me and just be out there in space, just totally disembodied, and I would look like totally calm and cool. And but I wasn't. I was just not there. I was out there somewhere. So the feelings all stayed in my body. And so, because no way to process. So hopefully that answers the question. Yeah. And then Lisa says, in order to heal something within me, diagnosis is to fully love it and remain neutral to its being within me. Yes. That's beautiful. Yeah. And then Mike said, I would say you don't have to understand them. You need to understand yourself. But I think very true, Mike, very true. And I think it depends on what role you're taking. Like that's for our own healing. But if she's talking about as a healer or with another person, if you're trying to be maybe she has the gift of counseling. Like maybe she's trying to help that person to see themselves, So in that case, it really helps to have that wisdom and a lot of times it comes from inside of us. People who will be attracted to you, it'll be because maybe they have gone on the same journey. Maybe they had the same wounding that you did. Yeah. And Sarah's trying. Yeah. I understand, Sarah. Believe me, I know it is not easy, but I super honor you for being here and for trying. I really do. Yeah, and Mike says, don't make it a competition. See it as you unfolding. Very true. And Rebecca says, I can totally relate to jumping out of my body. Yep. So let's continue on with what they're saying here. They say, they go on to say, where was that? Sorry. I think I lost my place. We wish to draw your heart to a new day, an interesting time where separation knows no part of yourself, where you feel yourself as one with everyone and all things around you now. To draw you into the protection of only what you are and nothing else. The protective force of will and willpower erodes your soul. I thought that was a big one. So this is the idea that we don't need any protection. Once we are balanced, we don't need protection. And this is a big deal because there is a lot of activity on the planet from energies that are not, they're maybe fourth dimension energies that are not necessarily, or, have your highest and best in mind. These are energies that might feed off of negative emotion. And those energies can be attached to different people. They can attach to you. And especially if there's an opening, if you really they'll attach into our wounding is what they do. And then they feed off of negative emotion. And I know if that's new to you, I know it's a whole weird conversation. We've talked about that on the channel before. There are old videos talking about entities, and I know it's weird, but it is a true thing. And so there's a lot of conversation about how do I protect myself from entities, and that we need to have that. We need to know how to do that until our hearts are balanced and full. And at that point, then it's not really an issue anymore. Like if you are full of light, there's no room for anything to get in. You know what I mean? That the room is full, closed room. So that's what they're saying here, that that it draw into you the protection of only what you are and nothing else. The protective force of will and willpower erodes your soul. So this is talking about our resistance. Will and willpower is saying, my will says, I don't want that. I'm pushing against that. I'm resisting that, right? That, they say, erodes your soul. It's that push and pull with the external world. It draws us into polarity. Yeah. The soul reflects the light from above, and this is all you require. So that's that balanced, connecting, light comes down, fills you up, you are whole. That's what we're trying to achieve. And the soul is light, and light, incoherent or otherwise, has its own frequency, resolve, temperature, and way and rhythm. So they're saying here that your light, no matter what our current state is in terms of our path that we're on, our journey, no matter if you've just started your journey, if you've been on it for a long time, when we first start our journey, our light is typically incoherent, which is the idea of incoherent light is that the little rays of light kind of go in all different directions. And so imagine that as like the light from an incandescent light bulb. When you turn on the light switch in a room and you turn on the light, and it just kind of glows. It's a soft glow that kind of goes everywhere in the room, and it's not particularly bright usually. It just kind of goes everywhere. And compare that to coherent light, where all the little rays of light are lined up like in perfect formation, all together going in the same direction. And that is like a laser beam. That's like the light, it just becomes this solid, focused laser beam. And think about how powerful a laser beam is compared to incoherent light. And so as we first kind of emerge from the stew of our childhood, we are incoherent light, where our rays are going everywhere because they're bouncing off our wounding, and we're really unfocused in our energy, and it's kind of going everywhere. And think if you can think back to like your, teenage years, like some of the crazy stuff you might have done. And that's like incoherent light, just like, oh, squirrel, I want that, it's like blah. And then as we get older and we get onto our path, and then we start to heal, and our light becomes increasingly coherent, until eventually, hopefully, we get to that place where we can be super focused manifestors, which is what we're going to be learning in the new state of consciousness. That will be our new thing. We'll be learning to be amazing manifestors, to work with our energy. Yeah. But the willpower erodes our soul. The soul reflects the light from above, and this is all you require. The soul is light, and light, incoherent or otherwise, has its own frequency, resolve, temperature, and way and rhythm. So what they're saying here is no matter where you are on your journey, whether you are starting on your journey or way far on your journey, that your light it has a specific sound, a specific presence, a specific frequency, that it's unique. No matter what, no matter where you are that sense of illumination, right? And they say that you are this and cannot be made otherwise. So you can't be changed unless you change yourself. That's the idea. Nobody can force you. They go on to say you are intermixed. You can intermix and be resolved. So once you are whole, they're saying you can intermix with anybody else's energy and still be 100% resolved inside yourself. That's the big message. And it's true that if we were to intermix our energy before we are resolved, and we carry a similar wound with that person, then that wound will come to the surface. And that's kind of how we experience it. But it comes to the surface so you can heal it. That's kind of the idea. But you can't become the other person if none of that is in you. One way to test this for yourself is to think about any time that you've ever been insulted. And if somebody threw an insult at you, and like it makes me think of this happened just the other night to my daughter. She was out on a walk and with her boyfriend, and there were some guys that started following them, and they were just trying to provoke them, and started calling names, and called her names that she knows are dumb. She knows are like, that's not me. You know what I mean? Like they were just saying whatever they could to try to get her eyes, and eventually they went away. But the point is that they called her things that she knows are not true. And it didn't hurt her feelings at all, because they landed on her like somebody calling her like, you're spaghetti. And you'd be like, I'm not actually spaghetti, but okay, whatever, it doesn't hurt. But if somebody came to me and called me something that was true, that I thought was true about me, if somebody came back and called me, like I remember, like I was dyslexic as a little kid. And if somebody had come to first grade me and said, you can't spell, like your spelling is bad, I would have been crushed. I would have been just crushed. And, you think about that. Like it's only when it feels true inside of ourselves that it hurts. So that hurting is, I'm fully resolved against being called spaghetti. It doesn't hurt me at all because I don't have anything in me that says that. But I did have the feeling at the time of like, I don't get to go to recess because my spelling test doesn't look right. I did have that. And that was painful for me. And so that would have landed and been like, ouch, And so that's the idea is that, but we can't add it. They can't add it to us unless it already exists. It's somewhere in there, except for that terrible 0 to age 7. That's when we become all the things that we try to heal the rest of our life. Yeah. So anyways, we move on. This could go really deep. So they go on to say, know you are impregnable, and yet, let's see, you can intermix and be resolved. You can portray your light however it shines, to stay within the arms of your own heaven-sent illumination, to be the light, and this is all. And that's what they want us to do, is just to be the light. To be yourself and know yourself impregnable, and yet transferable, as though you communicate what you are through unfettered, unfiltered, loving expression. This is the goal. This is what we're trying to get to, a place where we can be fully balanced so that we can do that, right? As though the light of what you are can intermingle freely without restraint. And so the piece of the wounding they're really trying to pull our attention here to is, where are we in judgment and resistance to what's in the world? Where do we push things away from us? Because they want us to be in a place that we can feel like we can intermingle freely without restraint. Loving expression comes from this. This is what love is that love is the expression of yourself That is self-love. Self-love is expressing yourself without restraint. That is feeling like all parts of me are so acceptable, so all parts of me are so worthy that I can just be, right? I can just be out there, just be like loud and proud. I am me. I don't have to filter myself or hold anything back. I can just be, and I can intermingle all over you, and you can intermingle all over me, and then we're going to separate, and I'm still me and you're still you. But that's what love is. Love is this sense of like, yeah, I love myself, and I am like up there, and here I am, and I'm just going to shine all over you. Like that's love, right? And the understanding that the other person is sovereign too. Like that's the goal. Yeah. Unfiltered, unfettered, loving expression, as though the light of what you are can intermingle freely without restraint. Loving expression comes from this, from the sense of what you are as portrayed evenly, fearlessly. Yeah. So that's the big one, and this is a lesson for me too, big time. We say the expression of love is an artful expression. We say that your heart can become bigger, more pronounced, more expressive, more condoning of life and living, more enveloping of all that you are seeing, more expanded than is your current nature. So this is really to all of us. There's room for all of us to grow in this. You can hold more light, more endowment of grace by becoming more fully expressed as a loving being, opening your heart more full to be love, to feel love, to hold no barriers between yourself and all that is and everyone. So I see this as like, it's a wonderful task for us, homework, to take away from this message, is to go out into the world and to notice anything that we turn away from. Like anything that we feel unsafe about, or that we feel fearful about, or that we feel in judgment of, anything that we push away from ourselves, that we feel distasteful or disgusted by, like anything, any of those emotions where we're holding something apart. And it doesn't mean you have to go jump into it at the moment. Like not yet. First, spend time with yourself and examine, why do I feel that way? Like what is it in me that I'm afraid of, or what is it that I don't want to feel? What is it about that triggers me, that triggers this feeling of resistance? And why do I feel that? What is it about that? What is my fear that I'm trying to avoid? Because it's a wonderful place for us to see ourselves. Yeah. And then once we heal it, then you can go intermingle your energy with it. But heal it first. Work on the self first. To be one with all things, one must reveal themselves, the soft underbelly of your reflections. You cannot hold yourself apart from anyone or anything and be love. Boy. You know what? I mean, somebody mentioned Mother Teresa, like that is it. I think that's why we all look at her and be like, holy cow. Like she just got in there. She went into the deepest, like into the hardest, like stuff. And she just did it. And that is the reason that is love, is because she didn't hold herself apart. Like that is love. Right? It's just a really different expression of what is love. Or it's understanding, a really different understanding. What is love? It is to express yourself, to shine your light, to be present everywhere, evenly, fearlessly. Wow. Yeah. Love knows no boundaries. No, boundless. It permeates all things. It must enter without reserve, enter freely. Know yourself impregnable in the sense of your light. Your light shines regardless of where it lands, upon everyone and everything. So that is the idea, that you don't change yourself, right? That you don't change yourself wherever you go, that you just are. So think of that. Is there any environment that you go to that you feel like you have to behave in another way? Like how many of us have a phone voice or like the work laugh? You know what I mean? Like back when I was in the corporate world, I was so guilty of having my work voice. And yeah, it's terrible, just terrible. Your professional voice. I don't think I could even do it anymore. But yeah, so that's being another way. And that is putting a filter on, right? Professionalism, a professional filter. We're not supposed to have any filters. Why can't you be authentic at work? Why can't you just be who you are, I mean, maybe like modulate the fart jokes, but like be who you are, Just, it's that idea, be your own energy. Yeah. Perception is a window through which you engage with the world. I got everything. Yes. Okay. Perception is a world through which you engage with the world. In perception, you feel the earth and its willingness to love your heart. You feel the earth moving. In perception, you perceive another, all beings, as they are willingly offering their resolve to be. Right? You are a light that must perceive freely, that can know no boundaries, that must perceive through what you are. So this is a really interesting paragraph, all about, obviously, perception. So it is the way that, so we have our soul, we have our body, and then we have sort of the window, which is frequently we come in with our filter, which is like all the junk on our windshield that we have to look through, that colors how we see everything. And then as we clear ourselves, as we heal ourselves, accept ourselves, love ourselves, release our fear, then that windshield gets clearer and clearer, right? And that's the perception through which we engage the world. And the earth, right, is willing to love our heart from the get-go. Right away, the world lets us in, whether we feel it does or not. The earth accepts us. And then they say we feel the earth moving in its perception. So in its perception, you perceive another. In perception, you perceive another, all beings, as they are willingly offering their resolve to be. And I love that word resolve, because think about the word resolve. It means like their resolve is like a sense of like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it implies that this is hard. To resolve on something is like, it's not just an easy thing you just do. It's like, I'm resolved. I'm committed to doing this. It's hard to like coming to the earth is an incredible opportunity, but we know the earth school is like one of the hardest, right? This is the graduate level course here to be on earth. It is hard to come here. And so you resolve, I'm going to do it, right? And then the other thing I love about it is that to resolve something is like, think about when you're trying to tune a radio station and you're moving like way in the way back world when you would have to turn the dial, right? Maybe those of you who are very young, like you don't remember that, but just imagine it from movies where you had to like turn the dial and you'd scan across back and forth trying to resolve on a station. And in between you would have static. And so you'd turn a little bit this way, a little bit that way, trying to tune it in. And so becoming incarnated is a little bit like that, where you have to find the frequency of this exact time and place. And your energy, if your energy is out there, it has to come together and resolve into density, into this point. Your soul has to come into resolve. So you are resolved into this exact way of being, which is part soul, part the heredity that you inherit from the genealogy of this body that you inhabit. So that is how you resolved. And the perception as you perceive another person is you're perceiving, okay, this person has made the commitment to be here. So I'm going to perceive that. I'm going to perceive that like this person has got it going on because they chose to come, and this is how they have resolved into this physical construct. It gives a nod to the fact that everyone is divine, that everyone came. You know, we are all that radio frequency out there, and we decided to come into this physical form for this time and place. So it's a very layered sentence in there, and I love it. They willingly offered their resolve to be. You are a light that must perceive freely, that can know no boundary. So this reference is a little bit about what it is to be a soul, that a soul cannot be bound. That when we bind ourselves, it erodes at our light, and that energy, that essence that you have, right? It creates illness in the body. That we have to be free, right? We have to express ourselves. We can have no boundaries. That's the goal for optimal wellness, in every way. That's what the soul wants, is to be free. That must perceive through what you are. So we want to be free, and we must perceive everything through that lens of our own self. They go on to say, what you are can become more fully pronounced, an expression of illumination that has no filter, that can be love without boundaries. This then sees what is expressed, the expression of all other beings with clarity. So once we have that, then we see everybody else exactly as they are for their truth, which is exactly what they've been telling us we're going to be able to do, the telepathic connection, right? I just got that seeing another being with clarity. So this is that idea that we balance ourselves, we connect to our own higher self, we raise our frequency up to that level, then we get that sixth sense that allows us to see others with clarity, to see them as they really are, their fullness. So then when we see another person who is on a difficult road, who's choosing a path with, of negativity, then we see what's at the heart of it. We see the core soul underneath. That's beautiful. We see the spark of the divine inside them, and it changes our interaction with them. That's the piece we resonate with. Yeah. The clarity comes through the pronouncement of your own light. Your own expression must be made more full without comprehension of your own foibles. So this is what they are saying here. Not that when they say without comprehension of your own foibles is like your weaknesses, your faults. And they're not saying here that we're not meant to understand our faults. They're saying that in our expression is not to be expressed through our faults, that we're not meant to be thinking that we have all these faults and expressing from that, which is what we are mostly doing today. We're mostly expressing and saying, I could be that, except I'm afraid to, or I don't think I'm worthy, or whatever, right? So that's the clarity there, is to understand the context of that phrase comes from that your own expression must be made full, right? The expression can't be expressing that you have faults. It has to be that you love everything about yourself, right? Even if the faults are there, that you love them too. That's the idea. Off-center perception is limited. Fully centered perception is equalized, is made whole, is made clearer, is made illuminated. So this is really like very much like giving us another layer to what this shift is, who we are becoming, what this shift is going to be about. Yeah, and you are this becoming. You must find the ways in which you filter your own perception and draw out from these core elements of your own wounding how you may equally perceive the hearts of all beings. This is the healing we're meant to do. We're meant to pull this out of us to say, okay, where am I in judgment? Where am I in resistance? Where am I pushing things away from me? That is what I have to heal. I have to learn what is it at the root of that. What am I afraid of? Like, what part of myself do I not want to see? And how can I love that part? How can I find to come to terms with that? Through healing, right? Through soul convergence. Come and join me in June. Come join us, right? That's the idea, that deep, deep wounding. They go on to say, you can do this as you are working toward your own shifting. You may see yourself with more ease, more grace, more perception. The unbound treasures of your own heart are worth meeting. And within the art of this expression, as it becomes fully expressed, your heart needs no restraint. It can love equally all beings. And I know we have a lot of artists in the group. And you guys know, those of you, I see some of you guys posting your work and sharing your work, and it's wonderful to see. And think about that state of mind you get in when you are creating your art, how you lose time, like how it's like you could be working on something and it just, everything else disappears. And all you are pure presence in that moment, right? You're channeling your divine energy in that moment as you're creating. And that is like that in that moment, you are full of yourself, like 100% full of yourself, and how fluid and graceful it can be. You know, when you're really in the flow and it's just going, like how great that feels. Like and I think that's why they keep mentioning art, expression as an art, you know, like it is that we're meant to be in that fluid state. Yeah. Your heart needs no restraint. It can love equally all beings. So then they go on to say, through your heart, you perceive, not through the senses of your own distinguishing abilities. So distinguishing abilities is how do we distinguish, which is through the head. We sort things with our mind. We put things into categories. We say that is a dog, not a cat, right? The way we comprehend is through categorization. That is how we navigate our world. We understand what something is by understanding what it's not. That is the way the brain works. It creates differences between things, subtle differences. Like, why do I have, one measuring cup versus the other? I perceive the difference in the size between the two, right? And we separate things. We say we can create even the tiniest differences. We can say this is 1 gram bigger than that one. We can create enormous, volumes, layers of distance between one thing and another. That is what the head does. It separates things. So through your heart you perceive, not the senses of your own distinguishing abilities. Separation is the force that knowledge provides. It separates things from one another. So that's what the head is. That's what it does. So the more that we are in our head, the more that we are apart from one another. Because the more we are in judgment, the more we are separating, the more we are finding the ways that we are different. The heart conjoins things together. The heart blends and merges all that is provided. The heart finds unity. The head finds separation. The heart unifies into love, all that is expressed, all that is oneness. So, and think about that is that it does it through resonance, right? It does it through frequency. The heart finds the ways in which we resonate with another being. And we find that similarity and we connect on that level. And that's how we find the oneness. We find the oneness in each of us. Yeah. They go on to say, the heart perceives another being equally expressed. Your perception becomes unyielding. It perceives all things. So this is that idea that you perceive someone, you let them have it, the full glow of your ability to see them, right? To perceive them with that magical third eye that sees the truth of who they are, right? It perceives that deep soul inside that you can resonate with. No matter how much leprosy they have, you can see the depth of them, right? And the leprosy is an expression of that depth. Right? That is just an expression of a wound. So you can see the wound. Yeah. And that wound, a lot of those wounds come back to core things that you might be able to remember, from when you had that same wound at some point. Yeah. It perceives all things. It opens itself to love, to loving. Loving prospect perceives everything. Loving another perceives everything. Perception is love. So that one got me. That one is like, okay. So they're trying to bring us through to our understanding here, right? That knowledge is separation, perception is love. And so, and when we are trying to resist something, we're not perceiving it. We are putting our filters on top of it. We're judging it. We are claiming to know something about it that we don't like. And when we perceive it, when we perceive something, if you are giving something your full perception, you cannot help but see the depth of who they are. So that is our perception. So the true perception, in other words, is love. Yeah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Last paragraph, they say, loving awareness of another's embodiment allows you to perceive them more gently, with greater understanding than all that could be provided by knowledge. Wow. You must open your heart more full, more complete to have this understanding. So they're saying we don't expect you to get it totally just yet. We're working towards it. That's why we have a shift, right? That's why we're going through this, so that we can do this. That's the idea. So they're saying, like, we've got time. We have time to be able to learn how to do this. You must open your heart more full, more complete to have this understanding. Opening your heart is a capacity you have. Saying everybody, all of us have the ability. And some of us are doing this. Like, a lot of you guys are doing this in some ways already. You know, you've been on your healing journey. You're already learning it. And so in some ways you have got this down and you know what it feels like. And then there's maybe other ways, like going to that one grocery store. Like maybe you're like, yeah, still got some work to do. Still got some stuff to learn. So let's see what you guys are saying. All right, there we go. And hold on, I missed you up here. And then Maureen says, yes, I think we get to the point that it doesn't matter if they do or they don't. We love with them without the response. Yes, Marina says, I try this every day. Each time I'm triggered, I ask, what triggers me exactly now? Beautiful, Amina. M says, in my experience, healing doesn't always have to be painful, especially if we can do it from the place of compassionate witness. Absolutely agree. Yes. And Dashini says, if you want love, give love. If you want peace, be peaceful. There's this, be what you want to see in the world. I think this is a Buddhist concept and it fits here. Totally agree. Shelley says, neutrality really resonates with me. I am a light that must proceed freely. Be me. It is perception. Yeah. And then Sarah says, being here is so hard. I really understand, Sarah. I do. I think it is the heaviness, and you won't always feel that way. Like, it will get better. And that's the thing to remember, is that the feelings that you're having right now are just guiding you toward feeling better. And it's just a matter of not resisting the feelings, of going toward them, into them, through them, so that you can understand what's causing them, right? But within a structure of help, in a structure where you're being guided, so that you're not you don't want to. What we don't want to do is just create more of the same. and so it's helpful to lean on each other, to have help as we're trying to see ourselves. Yeah. M says, Earth School is rough. I'm grateful for it, but ouch, so agree. Yeah. Kim says, if you break down the word resolve into 2 syllables, you get resolve. Oh, super cool, Kim. I love that. That is super cool. Resolve, just like reincarnation. We're going to resolve it. I love that. That is so cool. Rodney says, there are those on the net offering masterclasses, but what Anne via the angels are providing for us today is the doctorate class. Thank you, Rodney. Yeah, to me, it's like every time they come through, I learn, I think, oh, wow, I got this. Nope. I'm always like, oh, wow. It's very humbling, honestly, like, because you realize, and I see and they play with me, like showing me out in the world, being like, yeah, look at what you did here. Look how judgy you were today. I'm like, oh, like, they're so loving. They don't ever judge me when I'm judgy. They don't judge me for it, but they show me, like, yeah, look at that. Look what you just did. So yeah, it's always, life is that, isn't it? But it's awesome. It's awesome. I feel so lucky that they are giving us the tools to be able to see it, so that we can change, so that our life becomes better. Yeah. Aaron says foibles. I love the angel vocabulary. I know that is a hard one to say. Like, say that 3 times fast. Foibles. That's a tough one. Lynette says, I have a blood phobia. Will be interesting to see how these change us personally. Would love to be free of it. Believe it may be from a past life. So maybe disappear with any other karma. Super interesting, Lynette. Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. That kind of stuff seems super karmic to me too. Mike says, to know oneself is to love yourself. Yes. Dashini says, oh, sorry, I just lost my place again. I need to go. Okay, thank you so much for joining us. And then Ronnie says, that is just karma that can be healed and released. Absolutely, yeah. It was so funny. One time I went to my dad and his wife were up visiting, and she has a terrible snake phobia, and like really, really bad. And we went to a garden here in Bellevue, and there are no snakes in Bellevue. Like Bellevue is like it's I've lived up in this area my entire adult life, and I had until that point never seen a snake. And we walk one step into the garden. We're literally stepping off this concrete onto the path, and a snake walks right in front of her, a little tiny one, right in front of her. Like, what are the chances, you know? And I had been to that park hundreds of times. And she found the only snake in Washington, the only one. She found it. But that just shows you that what we resist, the things we fear the most, it found her right that day. They're like, oh, there she is. Like, there's my karmic sister. I will go slither in front of her. Yeah, it's crazy how it happens. It's amazing. But it's just something that can be healed. All of those kind of fears can be healed, absolutely. And you just face it to get to a better place, absolutely. And then we go here. Where are you all? There we go. And so the Akashic records are like that too, calling me out and in a totally kind and non-judgmental way, but still calling me out. Yep, totally. Oh my gosh, you guys, great session today. Thank you so much for sharing the message together. I loved it. Don't forget, if you're in peace bathing, join me this weekend. Sunday is the session at 10 a.m. And then a reminder that next weekend, on Saturday, I will be live on YouTube sharing what I've learned, the new understanding of how soul convergence works. If you would like to know more about soul convergence, which is my deep healing program, it's 2 series of 11-week programs that you can go through that balance your masculine and feminine energy and bring you to that divine connection we've been talking about. So if you have questions about it, if you want to know more about it, come and join me on YouTube. We'll be answering questions about it and talking and having a good time at 10 a.m. on Saturday next weekend. All right, you guys, have a beautiful weekend. Sending you tons of love. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye, you guys.